Hey everybody, season 2026 is going to be one of the most laning focused seasons we've seen today. Changes to wave spawn rates and Homeguards are going to make it so that supports are going to want to stick in lane for a lot longer, and therefore you should get your enchanters ready for the season 2026 support changes. Starting off with game progression, waves spawn at 30 seconds in the game now, meaning that early game setups such as invades and or vision must be placed quickly enough for laners to get straight back to laning. After 14 minutes, waves spawn every 25 seconds with -1 melee minion. As a result, you'll have to farm 2 extra waves every 5 minutes, which means less time roaming in the jungle and more time laning. Following that same pattern, after 30 minutes, waves spawn every 20 seconds with -1 melee and 1 caster, which means even less time roaming as you'll have to catch 3 waves now every minute instead of 2. Jungle camps now spawn at 55 seconds in the game now, with jungle early game clear speeds lowered. This fits the bill of Riot trying to put more emphasis on laners actually laning and not having support jungle be the most 2 OP roles in solo queue, because solo queue is disorganized competitive play. Therefore, people moving around the map is going to include a lot more volatility. Now I know what you might be thinking. How is a role that relies on supporting others to carry an OP role? And the answer to that is you get to make plays without having to worry about farming a wave, which is a luxury ADCs, mid, and top laners do not have. Junglers farm camps, but even that can be accelerated as the game goes on. Feats of strength are now removed in exchange for 100 extra gold on first blood and 300 extra gold on first turret, meaning Riot is going to be going back to the roots of much more easily attainable goals for the early game instead of having to fulfill 2 of the 3 conditions and having to consider who gets the first 3 kills. Yeah, feats of strength was kind of weird. Next up is Homeguards. Homeguards has been updated to be active up until the outer turret in the early game, which is then going to be accelerated to the most pushed minion wave in each lane later on in the game. The game is now going to be focused much more on fighting for waves, as split pushing is facilitated with the coming of Homeguards literally guiding you to split pushing. And the upcoming new mechanic called Crystalline Overgrowth makes split pushing a lot easier. Now, onto what Crystalline Overgrowth is. There are crystals that are going to be stacking onto turrets. Once you walk up to a turret with those crystals, you're going to be dealing more damage based off of how much time you've spent not touching the turret. Therefore, swapping sides of the map when you're split pushing is going to be much more effective, as you'll be going from crystals to crystals to crystals. Yeah, they did this for the Taric players, I guess. Next up is turret platings being added to all turrets, which is not what it sounds like, because they're not actually adding more gold to turrets, but they're mostly going to be adding smaller short-term goals with platings applying to every single turret except Nexus turrets, which makes split pushing again much more encouraged rather than taking random fights in the river, especially for a random scuttle when you can get plates the entire game. Nexus turrets now respawn with 40% HP. Riot wants to discourage the weird strategy that's been going around in pro play of keeping Nexus turrets at very low HP, just so that you wouldn't have to worry about them respawning at full HP if the game drags on. Now, the 2026 vision changes usually would be my favorite section to cover, but this is a long overdue change. Supports have been tasked with warding around the map, clearing vision, getting vision by ourselves. Having the burden be lessened on supports and be spread out much more evenly around the entire team is going to be much more of a quality of life change that honestly I was expecting to come a little earlier. Now, for the actual changes, there's a new mechanic called Phalites. Circles will spawn on the map in certain locations where you can place a ward to reveal more vision than you otherwise would with a normal ward. And to top it off, there's going to be more Phalites spawning as the rift morphs to the elemental soul being decided, but that's not exactly the most clear description we've gotten from Riot. And lastly, yellow trinkets recharge rate and vision cones being both increased. These changes are going to promote set jungle clears and much more stability in the side lane when it comes to the mid to late game. I can definitely see enchanters becoming more meta, as the talk of having more waves means more EXP. Before we dive into the objective section, I'm going to cover the crit damage changes. The crit damage going from 175% to 200% damage is kind of a weird change to just throw into the mix. And I don't think players understand the actual implication of that damage changes, as crit ADCs are gonna be back, meaning the hyperscalers plus enchanters are actually going to be a scary duo to play against in solo queue. On top of the duo queue being added in GM+, we're all going to have to see the fated Sven Vulcan duo, Zarayumi or Aphelios Lulu in Challenger. Now for the actual objective changes, Blood Petals and Otacon are now gone, which will speed up Baron time to 20 minutes. This is going to promote stability, as Otacon literally won or lost teams the game in higher levels of play. This objective warped the way the game was played in a way that wasn't exactly healthy. So overall, a good change. Epic monsters are now 15% more durable. That is going to be increased with the amount of dragon buffs you have. And so with higher respawn rates on minions, you're going to have a very good setup and push multiple waves before you get to pull an objective now. So team fights will be an extremely important point of the game where item breakpoints matter a lot more. Grubs and Rift are now going to have stronger effects with kind of a question mark. Not really sure of the magnitude of the buff as it wasn't fully explained, but split pushing sounds much more deadly than before. So expect a Camille or a Fiora exploding your base when they otherwise wouldn't. Comeback EXP from Drake and Baron are now going to be increased, which is an overall good change to prevent teams from snowballing the game into oblivion. And lastly, the most exciting part of these changes is going to be the new updated role quest. This is more of a quality of life change, as the support upgrade is pretty much a new Vigilant Wardstone, minus the fact that you can put down 2 pink wards. And if you don't know what Vigilant Wardstone is, it's a 2,300 gold item that could store up to 3 pink wards and allowed you to put down 2 pink wards on the map, which is now going to be your new updated role quest. You're going to have a specific slot for the control wards, discounts on control wards, and a little bit more gold over time. This is a much needed change. I've been recommending Vigilant Wardstone as a last item for any supports that actually reach their last item, as storing up to 3 pink wards and allowing you to place 2 of them on the map is an incredible buff that all supports are going to take advantage of. Now, having that extra slot for Vigilant Wardstone means that you can now actually have an extra legendary item, which makes buying an extra utility-based item a lot more viable. These changes are a lot more positive for supports than I actually thought they would be, as Riot is moving away from the objective focus season to a more stable wave-dependent one. The introduction of Phalites and extra yellow trinkets makes it much less likely for side laners to die, which in turn makes engaged supports much weaker, as they would have to go to the side lane to go and kill people, but now, with the extra vision, it's going to be a lot harder. Setting up for objectives will become a much longer process, as there will be more waves, which will make it a lot more difficult to just pull an objective on one random wave. And Riot's comeback EXP from Drake and Baron, plus the Crystalline Overgrowth update, might be your lifeline in a game where you make an incredible comeback. Enchanters are seeming much stronger than ever, so get your Lulus, your Yumis, and your Sona ready for the next season. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably going to be an ADC and support new item guide.